Rob Ellis, Tone to Shields, hanging with you on this Monday. Hope you're doing well out there, everybody. All right, so Tone, we teased it before we went to break, and let's dig back into the Eagles and what's going on with them as they close the season 11-6. They lose 5 of their last 6, and we know who they have Monday night. It'll be the Tampa Bay Bucks, and of course they get the Monday night game. Of course they do. Yep. All right. Anyway, that's my own little editorial. You're muted. You're muted, Tone.
Damn, I pulled a D gun.
I know you did. That's right.
Shout out to our guy D gun, man. Hope all's well with him.
Yeah.
I'm so upset we got the Monday night game. That means everyone's going to be watching that ass whooping. I'm so mad.
Yes.
I'm so mad. It's the only game on Monday, right?
Oh, correct. Yeah. Yeah. We got to wait an extra day to get to this. Yep.
Not only do we got to wait an extra day, all eyes are going to be on the Philadelphia Eagles collapsing in Tampa Bay. It's almost what's the word I'm looking for?
Fitting.
It's poetic.
Yeah.
It's poetic. Nick Sirianni's first playoff loss with the Philadelphia Eagles took place in Tampa Bay, and his last his first playoff game took place in Tampa Bay, and his last playoff game
let's go there.
Going to take place in Tampa Bay. It's poetic.
Are you convinced that he's gone?
Yes, I'm convinced.
See, I'm not convinced, but go ahead. Tell me why.
I guess the reason I'm convinced is because you can't deny what you see from the players, right? And are you willing? And this is where we have to really play cat and mouse with Nick Sirianni and Jeffrey Lurie's philosophy and their mindset and how they're feeling, right? Are they truly willing to roll the dice and bet on Nick Sirianni for another season? If they have any awareness, they'll see that this team is not responding to him. That's not going to change over an offseason. That's not going to change into a new season. Are you ready and willing to risk another season under Nick Sirianni, especially when that contract kicks in with Jalen Hurts? Are you ready to take that risk? Are you willing to risk the development of your quarterback under Nick Sirianni's watch, knowing how this team has responded to him over the past several weeks? Knowing that he has had no answers for any struggle that his team has faced, right? He has had no answer. And again, I don't want us to get lost that the players got to wear a lot of this. We're going to talk about that. Trust me, you guys. But the question is Nick Sirianni safe? No, he's not safe at all. This team has Super Bowl aspirations. Super Bowl. Not just make the playoffs, not NFC, they were in the Super Bowl last year. And this is the output or the product we get at this point in the season. He's not built to coach this team. It's clear. It's clear. And also, by the way, Eagles fans, because I believe Nick Sirianni's job is on the line, and likely they may have a new coaching staff. I think Jason Kelce retires. I think Brandon Graham retires. I still think Fletcher Cox should be brought back, but who knows if he'll want to come back, depending on what the vision is. I just have a hard time believing these aging veterans will be willing to stand the test of time through a new coaching regime. Right. I have a hard time believing that. So, Nick, I don't think Nick Sirianni's job is safe at all. I think especially if they lose this playoff game, I think he's as good as gone. Rob. I don't see them rolling the dice and risking. He has to have, I'll put it this way, right? And it's kind of similar to Doug's situation in this regard. Remember, they had a meeting with Doug, and they wanted to see where his mind was. And if everything aligned, he'll be back. I think they're going to have a meeting with Nick Sirianni, and they're going to listen to what he has to say. And if he doesn't say the right thing, he's gone.
Okay. All right. I think everything you say makes perfect sense. Let me just start there. Here's where I'm at with it. I think right now it's TBD. I think if they go out and it looks Monday like it's looked for the last 6 weeks, then yes, I think there's a good chance he's gone. I think if they win or they lose a game that's close, which they shouldn't. They're favorites, by the way. Somehow, some way. They're 1.5
point favorites.
It tells you how bad Tampa is. But I know it's not even anything. But it tells you how bad Tampa is. That they're.
I'm willing to argue that that line is showing how bad Philadelphia is.
Yeah, but
I'm willing to argue that.
at Tampa that the Eagles are as hot garbage as they are. I hear you. I hear you. All right. So I think he still has a chance. I think getting to the playoffs, getting to a Super Bowl, getting to the playoffs probably saves him. Should it? That's a whole different matter. But I think it's a bad. I think it's a bad look from an NFL and future coaching perspective to say, damn, they just fired a guy who went to the playoffs, got to a Super Bowl the year before, got to the playoffs, and they fired him. What does that say for me if I'm going there? Like, I think it's a bad look.
That's a good point.
Tone. That said, here's the thing. Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman are, I don't think they're impulsive necessarily in a bad way. Like, I don't think they're knee-jerk or impulsive, but they are a sense of urgency group. And if they don't like what they're seeing, they won't hesitate to make changes. So he's not what you would call safe. I think a lot rides on this game. I don't think it's whatever happens in this game, he's safe, or whatever happens, he's fired. I think a lot rides on this game. Like, I think he has to, if this team continues to just not show up for him, the one thing he had going for himself was he was a connector. He was an emotional connector to them. If he doesn't have that, he doesn't have the X and O acumen.
And that's my point.
Sean McVay has, or somebody like that. So that's gone then. Like, he's gone if he doesn't connect that way.
That's what I'm saying, right? He's had several weeks to connect with these guys and get the message through. His one superpower is no longer effective.
Right.
So that begs the question, what value does he provide instead of clapping or cheerleading? Shout out to my man Dan Cilio and Angelo Cataldi, right? They call him the ultimate cheerleader. You know what I'm saying? If his one superpower is no longer effective, what value does he provide?
Because again, I'll go the McVay route one more time. Yeah. So they had a down year last year, right? They had pushed all their chips in. They didn't have any draft picks. They won their Super Bowl, and it was kind of like they're going to be awful for the next 5 years. That dude figures out a way to maximize Puka Nacua, to maximize Cooper Kupp, to maximize an older, banged-up Stafford, to get the most out of his team because he's a brilliant X and O guy.
His rookie running back made the Pro Bowl.
Kyron Williams. So he gets the most out of it. He is going to scheme you to death if you're another team. Doesn't mean he's always going to win every game, but he's going to get everything he's got out of those guys from a talent standpoint, from a fooling you standpoint. And now that Steichen isn't here to kind of clean up the mess, you know, there's nobody there to catch him, to catch Nick on what he's putting together.
Here's the thing, right? There are two kinds of coaches. There's coaches that when they get, I'll put it this way. There are coaches, when they get new toys, they get excited. They start thinking about, what can I do to maximize this thing? Oh, I got this guy. I got Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. I got this young kid, Kyron Williams. Okay, what can I do? Oh, maybe if I move him here, maybe if I do this, maybe I do. They start playing battleship with themselves. They start, they start getting super geeky with this, with these pieces they have. Right, that's one coach, and then you have some coach that when they get talent, they say, "Ooh, all right, okay, so I can just kind of flow through this thing. All right, okay, I got AJ Brown, I got Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift. Okay, all right. Talent at the end of the day is going to make this thing work. All right, we trust these guys to win their matchups 9 times out of 10. Yo, that's my problem with Nick Sirianni and his staff, right? They don't get geeked about the toys they have and want to start, getting creative and whatnot. They just say, oh, okay, all right, we got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, go win. That's putting so much pressure on your players, so much pressure on your players to win every single matchup. And sometimes that's not going to be the case. As a coach, your job is to game plan and exploit the weaknesses of the opposing side of the ball that you focus on.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen that not one time. I can't think of one game or matchup where I've seen the Philadelphia Eagles this season, or consistently rather, exploit the opponent's weakness or respond to their weakness being exploited. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
As much time as we have left in the show, I do not want to take the eyes off of the offense from a personnel standpoint.
No, let's go there.
Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown got hurt, but you fumble. Like, come on, man. DeAndre Swift was sick, so he didn't play. It's like I gotta start the quarterback position.
Well, let's go there. All right, so let's go there, Tone. So yesterday, now this is again, he played most of the first half. 7 of 16, 55 yards, 0 touchdowns, another interception, a 26.8 passer rating, bringing his turnover total to 15 interceptions and 4 fumbles on the season. And his answer / their answer to a blitz, which you knew Wink Martindale was going to do, he knew, as we talked about in the first segment, he's not trying to hide what he does, is to roll to your right, which we saw 2 years ago all the time. He does it every time when he's pressured. He rolls to his right. It's incredibly predictable.
Or they force him to roll left.
Yeah, but he wants to always go right. And then it's fade, throw it away or get sacked. It's not, here comes so-and-so. I got a hot read. I'm going to connect with them right away. That's never there. That's what other teams seem to do when they get blitzed. There's no denying. Tone, I'll just tell you right now, even if you want to put the blitz aside for a minute, if you look at his numbers, Jalen's numbers this year compared to last year. Now, keep in mind, he played all 17 games this year, and last year he missed a couple of games with that shoulder. But Tone went from a 101.5 to an 89.1. Okay. It's a massive disparity. Massive disparity.
He's regressed. And we have to be comfortable saying that, Philadelphia.
Yep.
He's regressed. But it's not the end of the world. He's not a hole he can't get out of. Like he's regressed. He had a down season.
Yeah, it's not Carson Wentz fall off a cliff. It's not Carson Wentz. I'm not listening to anybody. I got it. I have all the answers.
The problem is, I'm so glad you said that. You just teed me up. It's not Carson Wentz. He's not listening to anybody. All that kind of stuff, kind of going rogue. We're dealing with two different spectrums of quarterback, right? Carson Wentz, the rogue agent, and Jalen Hurts, the company man, the guy who's going to listen to his coaches unequivocally and not question and rock the boat. Versus Carson Wentz, a guy who was hard-headed and pretty much really didn't take the coaching. You have to have a balance in that, right? No one's telling you to go rogue and just always be a contrarian to your coaches, but you have to challenge their convictions, challenge their thought process, and make sure they believe what they're telling you. Make sure whatever they're telling you makes sense and it can be applicable for the extended part of a season. And when it's no longer useful, do you have the answers, right? Jalen Hurts has been trying so hard to just roll with the punches, trust his coaches, trust what's going on, and look what we have. We have 19 interceptions. We have 19 turnovers on the season. Right. We have
15 interceptions.
Yeah. We have 15 interceptions, 4 fumbles. We have an 11-6 team record for the 2023 season. We have 1 win out of 6 weeks of football. You were the number 1 seed and had a 2-game lead on everyone at 10-1, and then you fumbled it. And not only did you fumble the number 1 seed, you fumbled the bag with the division when the Cowboys gave it to you a couple weeks ago. Gave it to you.
Yep. So
Jalen Hurts, it's time. You're getting the bag now, my friend. Mm-hmm. You're getting the bag now. You're the $50 million quarterback. You had to demand excellence from the people around you, because I know he demands it from himself. Here's the thing about Jalen Hurts. When I talk about Jalen Hurts, right? When I talk about him, I'm not questioning his work ethic. I'm not questioning his preparation. I'm not questioning his leadership. I'm not even questioning him as a man. I'm not even questioning his talent. I'm questioning his desire to hold his coaches and the people around him accountable. Because when you're too loud in the room sometimes, or when you rock the boat too much, you can lose people, or you can appear as someone who's not coachable. And I know he doesn't want to appear that way. So I respect what he's doing. But at the same time, This isn't a situation where you're going to appear uncoachable. This coaching staff is unteachable, or they can't teach. However, I don't know if I even said that right. They can't get the message across. So I don't know if this is one of those situations where Jalen Hurts said, "Look, I'm going to roll with the punches, and I'm going to make sure they know. I'm going to make sure the people realize that, hey, I'm doing exactly what they tell me to do." Versus him asking for all these changes, these wholesale changes. Then when he gets them, things don't happen. I think, and this is me playing conspiracy theories now, I think Jalen Hurts was willing to sacrifice this season, not even this season, but willing to sacrifice whatever they sacrificed. I'm betting he was willing to sacrifice everything to get Nick Sirianni at that building. You know, everything that Nick Sirianni is and he's shown us this season is all him. And I think Jalen Hurts rolled with those punches because he is looking at it like, I want y'all to know this is Nick Sirianni's offense. I'm doing what he's telling me to do, and this is why we're not successful.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's coaching. I think it's Jalen himself. There are things that he's got to improve here. It's just bad. I mean, you look at it.
Absolutely.
As a team, they had 4 more turnovers last year, right? I mean, yesterday, excuse me. They finished the season at a -10 turnover differential. They're -13 since week 5. Usually when you're in those kind of numbers, like a -10 category, you're like a 3-win team usually. Usually that's the way it plays out. I'll go again. I'll run through their drives in the first half when they were trying. Punt, fumble, turnover on downs, punt, interception, ran out of time. At that point, Mariota's in. That's a team that's utterly unprepared for a garbage Giants team. They stink.
You can't prepare for the New York Giants or the Arizona Cardinals. See, when teams are that bad, you pretty much know what their calling card is because they're limited. You knew coming into this game, Wink Martindale was going to blitz that quarterback. You knew.
Yeah.
They played Wink Martindale. Wink Martindale's been the DC in New York for how long?
Since Stable got there. So 2 years, I guess.
So 2 years. And you've had 3, actually 4. You've had 4 prior matchups against Wink Martindale prior to yesterday. You had the 3 from last season because you played them in the playoffs.
Yes.
So you had 3 from last season, and you had the one earlier this year, or a couple weeks ago, rather. And you mean to tell me you had no answer for what he's throwing at you? Wink Martindale was not throwing complex things at you. He's just blitzing a different guy every time. He's just blitzing. That's all he's doing. I'm looking at Wink Martindale's defense, and I know where the blitz is coming from. I'm seeing the defenders tell. Like I'm seeing it. I'm like, it's so clear where the blitz is coming from. And Jalen Hurts can't find an open guy if there is one. Nick Sirianni can't scheme or do whatever or whatever it may be. The offensive line or even if there is max protection, right? They can't block. Rashad Penny can't block to save his life. You know what I'm saying? That's why he can't get on the field.
Everybody thought, I want Penny in there. Okay. He can't play. Rashad Penny can't play anymore.
Listen, it's the reason his last name is Penny. He ain't worth a damn.
Yeah.
So, look, like I said, whatever answers they thought they had yesterday, failure.
Well,
failure.
Explain this to me. You already don't have Devontae Smith. AJ leaves early. Dallas Goedert gets 3 targets, 1 catch for 4 yards. What's going on here, man? There's one of 2 things happening. Either Dallas Goedert forgot how to get open in the NFL at the age of 28 or 29.
And I ain't buying that.
Or you have no idea how to utilize this guy. Again, am I missing something that if you don't have your 2 best receivers, you're going to go to your 3rd best receiver, who is Dallas Goedert? That's what he is. I mean, I know he's a tight end, but he's your 3rd best receiver.
Yet they forced the ball to Quez Watkins. Forced it to Julio Jones. It's insane. Like, as a matter of fact, let me make sure I'm not unjustly killing Julio Jones, because how many targets did he have in that game?
At least 4 or 5.
He only had 4 targets.
Okay.
Hold on. Quez Watkins had 11 targets. The next closest guy was Brenton Covey with 5. And then Olamide Zacchaeus had 4. I would have felt better throwing the ball to Olamide than Quez Watkins.
Yeah.
Dallas Goedert, 3 targets, 1 catch, 4 yards. What are we doing?
I don't know. I don't know. Let me give you a couple updates from Tom Pelissaro of the NFL Network. Jalen Hurts X-rays negative on that finger, on the middle finger on his throwing hand. He dislocated it. There's no break. That's good news. And this is actually where the extra day helps, let that heal a little bit. I know. I get it. I know ultimately, I don't think anything's going to make any difference. I'm just saying from a health perspective, that's good. The other thing is, and we're going to get into everything that went down today and last night, a lot of firings. And one of them was Ron Rivera. But what the Commanders are doing is kind of interesting. So they hired Bob Myers, who ran the Warriors for years and was a phenomenal executive. And they hired Rick Spielman, who ran Minnesota for a long time in the NFL, on the NFL side. But anyway, they hired those guys and they're going all guns a-blazing. And one of the people that they want permission to speak with is Alec Hallaby, who is, one of the Eagles analytics guys. They want to talk to him about, director of, player operations, whatever title. But anyway, I'm just passing along news as we get it here. So jump back in with your point with what's going on with the Birds.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is all rather self-explanatory. I'm looking at some of the chat, and some people are kind of caping for Quez and all that kind of stuff, and I'm like, okay, whatever. Like Quez Watkins, all right, die on that hill if you guys want. But overall, this team is lost. I'm sorry, Eagles fans, but they're not winning a playoff game this year. Even if they do, what's the ceiling on this team? Really, the ceiling is they're glued to it. The ceiling has already been reached. This deep, they can't defend Tyrod Taylor. They can't defend Wendell. What's the receiver? Wendell Robinson or Wendell?
Yeah, Wendell. Wandale.
Like,
yep.
But we think they're going to go into Tampa and cover Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darius Slay's coming back, and you know what I'm saying? James Bradbury and Devontae Maddox and Kevin Byard and Reed Blankenship dealing with a hamstring or a groin. He might not even play because that's an unpredictable injury. That's a day-by-day thing. Sidney Brown, probably a torn ACL unless it's already been reported. And this thing is already baked in. We just gotta go through hell. That's all it is. It's already baked in. It's already been written in stone. Yeah, it's done.
It's hard to fathom, what is happening here and how it's played out. It really is. It's very hard to figure this thing out. And to see it go up in flames like this, man, it is really, really.
Which is why it's hard for me to look at the coaching staff and look at Nick Sirianni and say, how can he come? This wasn't just like a bad loss in the playoffs or whatever. Like this has been a buildup.
A slow crow. It's a slow motion crash. Like you're on 95 and you're rubbernecking and looking at this car crash and you're like, damn. But it unfolded in like slow motion. Like it didn't just happen. If this was one game, all right, whatever. It's been way more than that, and it's trended the wrong way for a long time.
This season has been what I will call the Final Destination. Yeah. Have you ever seen those movies, Final Destination?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we see how those things typically go, right?
Yep.
One person has a premonition about what's going to happen or the next person's death.
Yeah.
And they do whatever they can to stop it. It's a foregone conclusion. No matter what they try to do to knock that person off that path to their demise. All you've done is lead them to another path to their demise. This is what it's been like all season. We've known the outcome, but we didn't want to believe it.
Yeah.
And we've been trying to divert and pivot and be okay with what we've been seeing and try to change the narrative and try to say, oh, they're resilient, they're this, they're that. When in reality, this has been a slow death. This has been a slow burn. We've been seeing, in those scenes where you might see the little water drop fall on an electrical wire.
Yeah.
You see the spark, and all of a sudden, it leads to a light blowing out. And then the light blowing out all of a sudden leads to the person being in the dark and they can't see. And then that person in the dark can't see, trips over a fire truck, trips over their kids' toys, and all of a sudden they hit their damn head on the damn countertop. Like this has been a chain reaction of losing. This has been a trickle-down effect. This thing has been a foregone final destination for the Philadelphia Eagles. We're just the last ones to find out.
All right, let's come back. And you think the offense was bad? Hold my beer. Let's talk about the defense, which is an absolute sieve. So we will dive into the defense when we get back. Don't go anywhere. Tone DeShields, Rob Ellis, Sports Take on this Monday. We're picking up the pieces, folks. All right, let me tell you about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, because knowing who to trust with your finances is critical. And I can tell you from personal experience, it took me a long time to find the right person, and Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group are the right people. Whether it's retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review, you might have a small business and you need help with your employee benefits. That's another resource that Jim can assist you with. I personally have entrusted my IRA, my 401k rollover with Jim, and I couldn't be any happier. You will be too. Give him a call. 610-996-4751. 610-996-4751. You can email him as well, Murray, Murray, .Jim@principal.com. That's Murray.